Grand Rising, beautiful people. What's going on? This is Mike with the 1% Mindset. I hope you're doing absolutely amazing. It is, what is it? Thursday, September 21st. Man, I am extremely excited to be with you. If this is your first time listening to this podcast, this is your jolt of inspiration each and every single morning to get your day started. It's your cup of coffee of motivation, or as I like to say, it's the work before the work. So whether you're on your way to school, to the gym, to work, wherever it is, this podcast will get your day started. Now, this podcast is going to be interesting, right? Episode 364. And I was thinking about, man, what can I say that can motivate and inspire? And one of the things I thought about was my audience. Look, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm bringing this podcast back after 6 or 7 months off. So the numbers aren't great. The numbers aren't what they used to be. And it's definitely not as big as my original podcast, my longer form podcast that I'm also going to bring back. But I said to myself, man, a lot of times when I do this podcast, I'm talking to me because I know I'm not unique to situations. And I also know that I've gone through and gotten over situations that people may be currently facing. And I had to ask myself this question. Do I need to be of my word only when I have an audience, or can I be of my word behind the scenes? Right? I know a lot of times, we want to be of our word to people and we break that a lot of times. But if we have a vast amount of people, depending on us, it can either excite us and we're like, man, I have to do it for all these people, or I'm nervous and I back off. Who are you when no one's looking? That's my question. Who was I? Who am I? If I'm doing this podcast and nobody sees this, am I still as excited or motivated to do the same podcast tomorrow if I know no one else is going to see it? Or am I just being committed to what I say I wanted to do day in and day out because that's important, right? Because it doesn't matter if anyone sees it, because my word to myself means that much more. And by default, as you continue to do it, somebody's going to be inspired. Whether they see this now, today, or they see it 10 years from now. Is that enough to continue to do what I say I'm going to do, no matter who is watching? No matter who's watching. Doesn't matter. Right? I'll give you the numbers. See, so when I did the long form podcast, the 1% Mindset podcast, go check it out. It's on all streaming platforms. Right? Some of these things did 200 plus per episode. When I brought back the podcast, 4 people listened to it. One that was probably my assistant, one that was probably me. I did it again. 4 people, 3 people. And that's okay. Right? Because I know I'm bringing it back. I know I have to reintroduce myself. One of my mentors said, you did it once, can you do it again? Anyone can get lucky once. It's the consistency that will drive you to the place and the spaces of where you want to be. Can you consistently provide content regardless of who's there, that you can start to re-inspire people with just your consistency? That's it. And I realized that, for me to be consistent, sometimes it means developing a routine. Right? When I have too much idle time, I think I can, waste time or do this later on. And that's the honest to God truth. So I said, man, Mike, you have to develop a routine. As an entrepreneur, when you're working for yourself, right? You create your own structure, so to speak, depending on the type of business you're in. You create your own structure. And I said to myself, man, I want to make sure that I stay consistent. And in order for me to stay consistent, I still have to go to the gym at 5 a.m. Right? Do I have to? No, I still have to go to the gym at 5 a.m. I have to make sure this podcast is out before 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. From there, I have to make sure I get some devotion in. I got to shower. I got to eat. I got to make sure I'm staying up with things. Have to prep for me teaching. There's all these things that I get to do, and that's exciting. But it only happens when there's consistency behind it. Because if I start to become lackadaisical, my word doesn't mean as much to me. I said I want to go to the gym at 5 a.m. Why am I getting there at 5:15, 5:30? It doesn't make sense. I said, hey, this podcast needs to be out before 7 a.m. Right? Why is it 7:30? My point is, all of this is happening because your consistency and your word to yourself sucks. Right? You get to look in the mirror now to say, like, who am I being and who am I trying to become? And if the person I'm trying to become isn't who I'm being in the current moment, why? What's the gap there? Right? What's not happening that you're doing the things consistently enough to become the person you want to be? So you can have value, not to other people. Forget the value to other people if you don't value you. If you don't value yourself, if you don't trust yourself. Why should I trust you if you don't trust you? Where's the value behind that? I can't trust you if you don't trust you. If you're not committed to your word, what is, like, I would be a fool to believe that you'd be committed to me or that I should listen to what you say. It just doesn't make sense. So as I wrap up episode 364 on this Thursday, my question to you is simple. How much do you value your word to you? Because if you don't value it to you, no one else has the right or should ever value what you say if you don't value what you value to you. Of course, as always, I love you. Peace.